of pure milk. It does not need to be made hot, it does not need to be made cold. Scientists attest to the fact that there is nothing more nourishing and beneficial for the child than the breast milk of his mother. And like that, my respected brothers, if we study and we analyze and we look at the qudrat, the kamal of Allah Ta'ala, how Allah Ta'ala is showing this insan, that I took you from nutfatin amshaj, from ma'im mahin, from a drop of worthless fluid, and I made you the paragon of my creation. I made you the pinnacle of my creation. I took you to absolute perfection. Where in the drop of the blood was the brains of insan? Where in the drop of the blood was the skull of insan? The brain is so soft, the skull is so hard. Where in the drop of the blood was the speech which insan has? Scientists can give it whatever explanation they want. It is nothing, but Allah Ta'ala is showing His ayat, His signs. Only those who are blind cannot see it, my respect. If you study every aspect of this insan, we will see the qudrat of Allah. Allah says, وَفِي أَنفُسِكُمْ أَفَلَا تُبْصِرُونَ. Why don't you look within yourselves? You will see Allah's qudrat, you will see Allah's kamal. Allah Ta'ala gave us soft fingers, but Allah knew that this insan will need to scratch himself. His fingers are too soft for him to scratch himself. Then Allah Ta'ala gave him nails. Now if Allah had to make the nails as hard as the bones, then he would injure himself. And if Allah Ta'ala kept it as soft as the fingers, then he would not be able to do the job. So Allah created the nails, a state between the softness of the fingers and the hardness of the bones. Because Allah knew my insan will need to scratch himself so that he may not injure himself and will not make it as hard as the bones. And like that, my respected brothers, we can go on. Look at the ears which Allah created and gave insan. Allah created wax in those ears. A lot of the time we find it cumbersome that why do I have to clean my ears? Little do we realize that in the back of the ears is the eardrum. So fine and so thin it is that he said that even wind had to blow, it would destroy that eardrum. So there was a fear that maybe an insect would get into the ears of my banda when he is sleeping. So Allah created the wax which is bitter and it is poisonous, that if an insect had to eat it, it would die, so that his eardrums are protected and his hearing is protected. My respected brothers, all this came out of chance from a drop of blood. Let us look, let us realize, let us open our eyes to the qudrat and the taqat of Allah. We are playing with the belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are playing with the kalima la ilaha illallah, my respected brothers. There is no force, there is no taqat, there is no power in the world besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah ta'ala has taken upon himself the responsibility of the sustenance of his bandas. Allah says in the Quran, وَمَا مِن دَابَّةٍ فِي الْأَرْضِ إِلَّا عَلَى اللَّهِ رِزْقُهَا, that there is nothing moving upon the face of the earth, but that Allah has taken the responsibility of its rozi, its sustenance. It will not get one morsel more than that which Allah has decreed. It will not get one morsel less than that which Allah has decreed. Unfortunately, today we do not have true iman upon that. The West is attacking us from every direction. The West is attacking our iman. The West is attacking our aqaid. Why? Because our yaqeen has become weak. Our iman has become weak. They cannot harm us. Let us understand that all the forces of the West put together cannot harm us as much as we can harm ourselves. The forces of America and Britain are nothing before the force of Allah. If they are over us, if they are affecting us, if they are harming us, it is because Allah has lowered us, because our contact with Allah is weaker. Respected brothers, the man in his shop is toiling from morning till night. The yaqeen comes into his heart that my shop is providing for me. My job is providing for me. Nobody says it. Nobody will say my shop is providing for me. Nobody will say my job is providing for me. But what type of yaqeen is in his heart? How much does he believe that Allah is razik? The muazzin will stand in the masjid and will call out, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Oh shopkeeper, Allah is greater than your shop. Oh college student, Allah is greater than your degree. At that time, is he able to leave the shop and come into the masjid, or does he stand there? The customer will be standing in front of him. The money will be in his hand. It enters into his heart that if I'm going to leave this, I'm going to lose out. But we say Allah is razik, Allah is the provider. And then when he leaves the shop and he comes and stands in front of Allah, he brings the shop with him into the masjid. He'll be making Allahu Akbar. He'll be standing in front of Allah. Allah who is so close to him that Allah says, وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ وَنَعْلَمُ مَا تُوَسْوِسُ بِهِ نَفْسُ. We created this insan. And leave when insan is breaking the command of Allah. Allah says at that time when your nafs is whispering to you to break my command, when your nafs is planning it, at that time I already know about it. وَنَعْلَمُ مَا تُوَسْوِسُ بِهِ نَفْسُ وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ. Allah says that I am closer to you than your jugular vein. Allah is closer to us than our jugular veins. We stand in front of Allah and the mind is in the shop. How much of the azmat of Allah is coming to the heart? Our example, my respected brothers, is like that person who was a beggar. He's hungry. He goes to the gardener and he tells him that, listen, I'm hungry, I need some food. So the gardener takes a stick and he goes to his tree and he starts striking it and some fruit fall down. Then the beggar takes the fruit and he eats the fruit. After eating, he is now satisfied. He takes the stick and he starts kissing it and rubbing it lovingly. And he says, oh stick, I was hungry. You gave me the food when I needed it. What will be the reaction of that gardener to this person? I gave it to him. I provided for him. And now he has turned his back on me and he's thanking the stick. My respected brothers, that is exactly our example. We run our businesses in any fashion we feel like. We break the command of Allah morning till night. Riba, which Allah has made haram, we will employ it in our business. On the one hand, we are saying that Allah is my provider. On the other hand, we do business in such a way which draws the wrath and the lanat of Allah. Who are we bluffing? How much of yaqeen do we have in the heart that Allah is razik? Because of the weakness of yaqeen, in every sifat of Allah, Allah has made bayaan of His sifat in the Quran. If a weakness of yaqeen comes in any of the sifat of Allah, then automatically, my respected brothers, we will find innumerable harms coming into the ummah. Birth control, abortion, all these harms have come about because of our weakness of yaqeen on the fact that Allah is razik. Let us not be fooled by the statistics of the West, my respected brothers. They are out to destroy our iman. They are out to destroy the haya and the modesty of this ummah. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Al-iman wal-haya qurana'u jami'a فَإِذَا فُقِدَ الْآخَرُ فَإِذَا رُفِيَ أَحَدُهُمَا رُفِيَ الْآخَرُ أو كما قال sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That iman and haya, shame and modesty are two inseparable quantities, two inseparable entities. If haya is lost, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, if one has to go, the other one must go. The other one must become weakened. My respected brothers, we know what happened recently when the Cairo conference took place. Look at their arrogance, how weak this ummah has become. To put forward such ideologies that if we study the charter, we can see that there is nothing but shaitan behind it. Yet, my respected brothers, they use a Muslim country. They make the president of the Cairo conference a Muslim, and not just a Muslim, they make her a Muslim woman. Dr. Nafis Sadiq of Pakistan. And what sort of ideas are put in front? Absolute legalization of abortion. Murder, my respected brothers, nothing else. Recently, in a newspaper report issued in London, it is said that a 20-week-old fetus, while being aborted in a hospital in one state, started crying out. When they tried to abort the child started crying. And this report was revealed in the newspaper. Scientists of today are telling us that that fetus is alive in the womb of its mother. My respected brothers, let us realize that all this is a plan to take away the haya and the modesty of this ummah. There is no shortage of food. Allah will provide. Allah has taken upon Himself the responsibility of our sustenance. In the time of Junaid Baghdadi rahmatullah alayhi, Hazrat Maulana Masihullah rahmatullah alayhi narrated this incident, that one person came to Junaid Baghdadi rahmatullah alayhi and told him that the price of food has gone very high now. What is going to happen in a few years' time? Food will start running out, famine will come in, what will happen to us? My respected brothers, several hundred years ago they said the price of food has gone too high. And they came to him with this complaint. He said that if the skies have to dry up, and if the earth had to become like copper, that nothing will grow on it, and then for 1 second if I had to doubt from where my Allah is going to provide for me, then I have come out of the pale of iman. I do not have iman in my heart. That was iman and yaqeen, my respected brothers. That Allah is the razik, Allah is the provider. And let us not be fooled. They put in front of us the third world countries and they say the population is now 3 billion. If it carries on like this by the year 2000, it will be 4.5 billion. My respected brothers, the Famine Organization, FAO, estimates, they studied the third world and they have come to the conclusion that the third world countries have the ability to produce food for 33 billion. This they will not reveal to us. We know of Ethiopia, we know of certain countries where hunger and famine has come about. My respected brothers, that is because of drought. And drought is in whose hand? That is not because the earth is not able to provide. That is not because Allah is not able to provide. But Allah has a system that when certain a'mal, when certain evil deeds will become arm, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by way of azab will send drought upon us.